What do you think Sentinels is going to have to do to win in 2023?
I know Sentinels are always going to provide the good infrastructure outside of the game, so we don't have to worry about that. I think like the players knowing that the only thing they have to worry about is turning up to work and practicing. We want you to come to work and enjoy working and spending time with your teammates, but we also we have these like you're accountable. Like as a player on the team, you're accountable for every single day. It's about us setting expectations with the players and the roster that we finally get, and then also just making sure that we're up to meta and the strategy is going good.
What up, Sun City? Today, I'm here with Dephh, the newest recruit to the roster, also the in-game leader and captain, and I'm excited to get into this one because he is the veteran of the roster, and we're going to be talking a little bit about his story and how he's got here. So my first question for you, Dephh, is could you kind of explain to me how you got into esports? I'm familiar with you from CS, obviously, but for the people that don't know at home, like how did you end up on this path of competitive Valorant?
Yeah, so it's quite a long story really. I started in just traditional sport. I was like a semi-pro football, or I guess you call it soccer here in America. So I have more roots like in the traditional sense of sports, and all the way up to university. So about 21, 22. That's when I started getting serious in FPS titles. So I'm pretty late into the game, man. Like the players now, they're getting involved when they're 13, 14, and they're just playing for years. But I wasn't on my first pro team until I was 24. CS was my first.
Damn.
CS was my first game. I didn't play 1.6. I didn't play CSS. I was like a MOBA guy, man. I was playing like League of Legends and stuff. Playing World of Warcraft. So I was just a geek. As soon as I played Valorant, I realized like CS wasn't the game for me anymore. You know that burnout from the game. I kind of felt that. So playing Valorant for the first time, it was like that fresh start again. It felt like new. Really, like it kind of had the fundamentals of CS, but it also had like this kind of like MOBA-esque style of League of Legends. So yeah, just a super exciting game for me to get into.
Yeah, I mean, CS is also hard because they don't change anything about the game since the beginning of birth. So like we've been playing the same thing. In Valorant over here, we're changing every other week. So it's definitely spicier. Why did you end up choosing Sentinels? Is it the brand? Is it the team we're building here? Is it the vision? Is it me? What's on your mind?
Yeah, like I think Sentinels, I don't know how much I can say about this, but I think Sentinels learned their lesson last year. Like player run rosters and like personalities, like sometimes it clashes. I think they realized from last year that the structure me and Don brought, and like even Kaplan having success on a team like Ghost, I think they just realized like, hey, we're gonna do a new approach this year, and I think that's why I'm so excited to play for Sentinels. Like the management has been pretty awesome in the roster that we're wanting to get and stuff. Like obviously I can't leak too much shit, but yeah, and especially as you rejected our offer to become the main orb there, so we've had to reevaluate.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys trying to squeeze me in. I'm a big guy, but I thought make room for the youngins.
Yeah.
I agree though. It's something I harped on Sentinels too before while watching them. The infrastructure always lacked, and I'm glad that they're making a big effort on it now because it's so important to have that, coaching staff, and also, it's also important to practice. We're starting to learn. You have to put in the time. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Right? Like we're so big on. We want that nice balance of being like, oh, we can go out, we can get dinner, we can do things like outside of the game, but we also like, dude, if you're not on time and you're not getting to practice and you're not being involved, like, that's just a big thing. Like everyone, these teams that are coming up next year. Dude, some of them are really scary. Like the lineups look really scary, and they're gonna have really good teams and good coaches. Like I think franchise teams realize we need to get a good coach. So yeah, I think next year you're gonna see such higher quality of play just because of that.
Yeah, and I love Psycho's mentality. He kind of touches on similar things about how the importance of outside of team activities and just building that chemistry and making it more like, you're playing with your friends. But I also like what you said about getting everyone involved. It's like, when you're doing VOD review, two guys aren't talking, but why aren't they talking? Let's hear your thoughts, guys. Let's get everyone into it, because everyone has good ideas, especially at the highest level. I think, the quiet players are usually the ones that have the best ideas.
No,
sometimes,
exactly that. We say the
you just
exact
have to
thing.
pull it out of them.
Yeah, you have to like extract it from them, because sometimes it's either being too shy, don't want to step on people's toes, but like as an in-game leader, I'm like, dude, the quietest people normally have like the best solution. So that's something that we really focus on in practice.
Love that. No bad ideas.
No.
Everyone's ideas open.
we have a saying that's like, any idea, no, a bad idea is better than no idea, and that's like like a philosophy that we kind of approach with the team.
Yeah, kind of similar to what they say in school, isn't it? Like a stupid question is better than no question, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that applies. Maybe they say that to me only. You've been competing as a pro for a decent amount of years now, but how did you kind of get down the path of becoming an IGL? Because at this point, everyone kind of knows you for it.
Yeah, I think like the path of an IGL is so. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna be an IGL one day, and you kind of just like turn up to the server one day, and now you're an IGL. It's like, it's the people that you play up to that point with up to that point. Being able to learn from people that showed them leadership skills. I obviously got a chance to see in CS like some of the best in-game leaders in the world. Obviously not playing with them all, but like you can tell like the impact that an in-game leader has on a team, instead of just like, okay, he's the strategy guy, he's calling everything. Like there's so much more nuance that goes into the in-game lead role. And it kind of just happened naturally for me. I'm like the older guy, like an older guy. I come from traditional sports, so like I see like the benefits in having really good coaching staff and like top to bottom kind of teams. Like, so I think that's it really. It was just like an approach over time, and like it just feels best for me now to be in that role.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like you understand how important it is to have an infrastructure, and it's not something like, oh, like you were like, oh, I want to be an IGL because this seems sick. It's like you kind of mold it into that on its own, like being an older player, maybe thinking about the game more strategically, theory crafting more, watching demos more, and then you're like, oh, this is like kind of the role I like. So that makes sense. Is there an IGL that stood out to you, whether it's from CS or Valorant or any other game, that kind of helped the direction you took?
I think like it's the bog standard CS guys like Glaive and Carrigan. Like you can just tell every team they go onto, they just make better.
Yeah.
It's just so natural for them guys, and like that's something that like I really wanted to do in Valorant. And I think even the start of my Valorant career, I took teams that were like not the most highly skilled teams or the most mechanical firepower, but we made sure that the team at least like was structured good. And I think like a lot of that was it was about like making sure practice is good, making sure the team environment is good. Like there's so many things that go into a team that
there
like
is. It's not just like playing the game, like running around and shooting people.
No.
There's like dealing with personalities, dealing with conflict, stress while you're losing, or the atmosphere. People are not saying like I feel like, and especially handling all that as one person is impossible. So a good thing we got the infrastructure over here.
Yeah, it's like the glue guys too. Like I hear so many stories about you just being an incredible teammate, and I know like there's got to be a guy on the
you're
team.
gassing me up.
No, there's a guy on the team that has to be like the glue guy too. Like he has to.
There is. That's a real role, man.
It is a role, and them guys get suckered sometimes because like they don't get the praise that they deserve. But there's so much more that goes into it instead of just being able to aim good. And you want, as an in-game leader or as that guy, you want them guys on your team that are really mechanically great to be better. So like it's about elevating them guys too.
Yeah, and sometimes it is also about working with personalities that maybe are harder to work with, but you cater to it because they're so good, right? Like sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah.
What can you do?
No,
but,
that's definitely a thing.
Okay, we touched on it a little bit, but speaking about Zekin, what are your thoughts about him? What makes him a good teammate? I talked to him the other day, and I don't really know him that well, but he seems like he's got a really good head on his shoulders. What's your opinion on it?
Dude, I think he's just so mature for his age. It's kind of crazy. I think his parents are like really good. Like his parent, you know when a kid is kind of spoiled, and he ain't spoiled. Like his mom is gonna tell him off if he's doing something stupid, and he's just like a really good kid. Like if he's never late, He's always on time. He's always contributing. Like, that's the reasons that he's doing so well right now. It's not because he has the most cracked aim. Well, he also does, but that helps. But
It's on top of it all.
it's on top of everything. Like his work ethic, the way that he applies himself, the way that he thinks about the game, the way that he's involved in strategy. Like, that's the reason he's going to be a top player. It's not just because of his aim. So I think the fans sometimes can think like, damn, he's just insane aim. He can get himself out of every situation. But this guy is thinking on a way deeper level than that. So that's why I think like he's really exciting for the future, and it could be potentially like a face of Valorant going forward. He's just really talented kid, and he just applies himself a lot.
Absolutely, for sure. And touching on that point a little bit, the fans watching the games, they really don't have an understanding a lot of the time, especially in Valorant, because we've got a lot of casual viewers here. You know how much really goes on to building these teams and how much strategy is actually exists. It's not just Zek and go kill. It's there's the reason we're doing what we're doing. And I love the fact that he is this kid that he has a good attitude and he is cracked, because I feel like that's a great role model for other kids that are coming up in the scene. And I kind of see him similar to myself back on CLG, because he's coming into a team with good infrastructure and veterans. Well, actually, arguably, you guys did on Exit. Who were you guys as veterans? It was you and Aaron, I guess, right?
Yeah, Aaron came from other games, had a lot of like leadership experience too. So he was our glue guy, man. Like, he definitely like kept us from arguing a lot. He was always the guy that was getting people going and making sure they were doing things outside the server. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think him coming into a team with responsible, adults, kind of, it really helps build his career in the right direction. So I think he got lucky in a sense too, but I think it works out for everyone. Kid's fucking cracked.
Yeah,
so.
He is. He's fucking insane. This is a story about Zek, and I cannot believe it. He was on Discord with 7 friends. He was playing a ranked game, playing a game on his phone, and minimizing and playing Kovacs at the same time.
Holy while he's dead, he minimizes the play. And he's watching a stream on the second monitor too.
Probably. He's like talking to his friends whilst also talking to the ranked guys, playing a mobile game and Kovacs. I'm like, what the hell is happening? But
dude, that's why it's the ultimate gamer. We're talking to Zekin the other day, and he told me like Valorant was like his first. I mean, he played a little bit of CS, but Valorant was his first FPS, and he plays like Silver 1.
Yeah.
And like he just saw the pros and started to grind, and I don't know, it's just like pretty crazy how good he got. So
he's just
that kid's different.
We've been working on him a lot, like at Exit especially, but like
it's like a project of your guys.
Dude, like we want to make sure like every player that comes to this team and plays for us, like in this structure, comes out better at the end. And like that's something people don't realize too. Like, we're just trying to improve the guys that really we want to excel on the stage and do really well.
Absolutely, and I think he's lucky to have landed with you guys, because you guys have that mature, professional, high level staff, and good for him. But what do you think Sentinels is gonna have to do to win in 2023? We talk a lot about infrastructure and having to practice, which is a big change for us. But are these kind of the trains of thought that you're on, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think really it's like, I know Sentinels are always going to provide the good infrastructure outside of the game, so we don't have to worry about that. I think like the players knowing that the only thing they have to worry about is turning up to work and practicing, and that's kind of our philosophy. Like, we want you to come to work and enjoy working and spending time with your teammates, but we also like we have these like, you're accountable. Like, as a player on the team, you're accountable for every single day. In practice and outside of practice. So it's about us setting expectations with the players and the roster that we finally get, and then also just making sure that we're up to meta and the strategy is going good. So
what are your thoughts on Psycho and Kaplan? We've talked a little bit about their philosophies and the train of thought you guys have, but where do you see them? And just to be clear, you haven't worked with Kaplan, but you've worked with Psycho, right?
Yeah, so Psycho is like the ultimate glue guy. I wouldn't say he's very hands-on in strategy. He's definitely involved, but he's more of like the people pleaser, and he's the kind of guy that's like can encourage arguments. Like, a lot of the players don't like arguing, and I'm so for arguing in a healthy way, like the conflict resolution. And like Don is just so good at like figuring that out. Sometimes like I'll be pissy, and he'll realize I'm being pissy and take over and be like that mediator. So yeah, we just work really well in that kind of regard. And obviously Kaplan is more of the strategy guy. He has a degree in psychology too. So I think like them two working together is just going to be like a power team moving into next year.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've heard a little bit about Kaplan. He worked with Ghost. And he kind of got them pretty decent results. And Zekin was talking about how they were an interesting team to play against. And he seems like a sick strategist. So
yeah,
I think that combination of having like that real coach personality alongside the big ass brain, and then having a sick fucking team.
I'm sure you felt this like when you played CS. When the teams had structure and they played good, and you can tell like they had like that way of playing that they all bought into. You can just tell
the chemistry, the style.
You can just feel it, right? Like I remember the first time I played Astralis online, I was like, what the fuck? Like these guys are insane. Like the way that they played together, and you can tell like that's all been fleshed out in practice. And like Ghost kind of reminded me of that on a lower level. Like these guys individually might not be insane, but like the way that they're playing together, I can tell there's a thought process behind that. So that's why we looked at Kaplan, to be honest.
I like that. So you guys kind of how'd you guys end up with Kaplan? Out of curiosity, was it Psycho's idea? Was it your idea, or
yeah, Don?
What got you there?
So Don has been like friends with Kaplan like the last 2 years. Been talking to him a lot, like sharing ideas and stuff. So it kind of just made sense. He was looking for a job at the same time, and
scouted him out.
Yeah, it's just like a no-brainer for us.
Sweet. Okay. So how will that dynamic work with you guys? So you got obviously Psycho as the head coach or the coach, and then Kaplan as the strategic coach. What's the dynamic? Are you working with Kaplan on strategy, and kind of he's bringing stuff to you, and then you're reviewing it and bringing what you want to the team, or how do you see that going?
Yeah, so how we did it on the previous team is like we'd take coach meetings where the coach and IGLs would go in and talk about strategy, and like we'd have them arguments in there and like what we thought was best for the team, and then we'd bring
between you three basically.
Yeah, exactly. So we'd have meetings before we started practice, go get a coffee or something, and then we'd set the day practice of like stuff we've reviewed ourselves, and then be able to apply that to the practice. So like we're definitely thinking more than just turn up to practice and be like, okay, we're gonna review a VOD, and then you kind of go through the VOD. Oh, you did this wrong. You did this.
It's kind of prepared beforehand. You're saying.
Yeah, like there has
between you three.
Yeah, there has to be some insight, and the coaches and the IGLs like have to be involved in that kind of strategy too, just to bring it, and you're like this. It comes from a group instead of like getting into the practice and then being like, no, I don't agree with that. Oh, I don't agree with that. Like we're on the same level in terms of understanding, and then we take it to the team.
Yeah, I love that, because also you guys kind of hash out, what's good and what's not together, and then you bring it to the team, and then you rehash it again based on what the team thinks. So it's just getting it down to the perfect point.
Yeah,
it makes total sense. Is there any final words you have for the Sen City, for the fans that are desperately waiting to see you guys play and pop ass?
Yeah, I've seen the Sentinels fans like all over the forums and stuff, just wanting to know what the roster is so they can start supporting it. But like I said, we're here next year to bring victories to Sentinels again, and that's the most important thing for me at least. And like hopefully you can support the boys like Zekin and maybe Tens if that's going to be the case. So we want to highlight them guys the most, and next year is going to just be proof of that, I think.
Hell yeah, dude. I appreciate you doing the interview, Dephh. I'm excited. We got the fucking big boy veteran IGL. I think we got the young bloods as well. It's going to be fucking dope. So hopefully all the fans and everyone can continue to support the team, and the wins are coming soon, baby.